fire and water fall in love. This is the best romance that Disney has ever made. Opposites attract or only generate pain. An immigrant couple leaves their home country, the land of fire, and arrives at the elemental city where three other elements live. Water, air, and earth, Bernie and Cinder come in search of a better life, and this place seems incredible to them to achieve it, but they are not well received. The rest of the elements pushes aside the fire people for fear that they are dangerous because they can set fire. Just as in real life in this city, there are prejudices towards immigrants. Fire people are discriminated against for being dangerous, and the interesting thing about this is that indeed, fire people can become dangerous to the other elements, as they can set fire to the earth and boil water. However, fire people can control their abilities and not necessarily be destructive. In the face of rejection, Bernie and Cinder find an abandoned building where they establish their home, and their first and only daughter is born there. Bernie teaches Ember all the traditions of the fire people, and the most important one is the blue flame, which Bernie brought from his native country, a quasi-religious symbol that gives life and strength to the fire people. Together they build their business, a coexistent store called La Fogata, which Bernie is very proud of. It is her dream come true. It is the symbol of the best life she could give to her daughter. Ember explains to her that she will inherit it once it is ready, and this fills her with the illusion that Ember is her father's right hand. She loves to help in the store and accompany him to make the deliveries. Over the years, the fire people settled around the campfire, and soon this place became the fire neighborhood. Their main rule is that the elements do not mix, especially fire with water, as doing so could result in something lethal. As Bernie ages, Ember begins to take a more active role in the store. However, she struggles to control her temper, especially when dealing with difficult customers, which often leads to incidents where she accidentally sets the store on fire and causes harm to customers. Her father watches her and tries to teach her to breathe, to seek to connect with clients and not explode on them. Ember is a perfectionist and doesn't want to let her father down, but she finds this too difficult and he waters her over and over again. On one occasion, her father leaves her in charge of the annual Red Dot sale. He tells her that if she doesn't lose her temper, she will prove to him that she is ready to take over the store. She assures him that she won't let him down. However, the customers begin to wear on her patience one after another, becoming very stressful. Ember struggles to control her temper and is about to explode. She goes downstairs to let off steam and explodes at that. She hears the pipes begin to creak. Her explosion damaged them. The pipes burst and water begins to gush out, flooding her basement. Ember manages to close the broken pipe, but from the water emerges Wade Ripple, a water person. Wade looks at a familiar photograph of Ember and begins to cry. He is a very sensitive man. Ember asks him what he is doing there, and he replies that he was looking for a leak when something sucked him in and brought him to his basement. With pain in his heart, Wade tells her that he is a city inspector and that he will have to give her a fine because her pipes do not comply with the rules. Being so empathetic, Wade starts to cry and tells her that he will have to order the business closed because all the pipes that Bernie built himself are in very bad shape. This upsets Ember, who does not want to see her parents' business closed or disappoint him. Tries to stop Wade, but he leaves. She chases him to prevent him from getting to City Hall, but is unsuccessful. When Ember returns home, she finds the store closed and her parents fixing the pipes. They tell her not to worry, they have survived hard times before and they will do it again. They tell their daughter the reason they left the land of fire, their home country, they loved living there, but a big storm hit them and took everything from them. Bernie realized they had to leave so they could have a better life, especially since Cinder was pregnant with Ember. Bernie left his family behind, took some of the blue flames, and headed towards the elemental city. That was the last time she saw her father, all with the dream of having a better life and giving his daughter more opportunities. Ember listens to them and thinks about the imminent closure of his store, but she promises them that nothing will happen to his business, nor the blue flame. The next day, Ember goes to the city to talk to Wade's boss, but Gale is at the stadium supporting his favorite team, the Windbreakers. He tries to explain the situation to her, but she seems distracted and doesn't want to talk about work during the game. They argue, and Ember makes fun of the players, which makes Gale angry. Wade interrupts the discussion when the Windbreakers are losing due to Lot's poor performance. The crowd starts booing Lots, but Wade empathizes with him and stands up to cheer and encourage him. It seems a bit ridiculous, but soon the whole stadium is cheering Lutz on. He sees this, he gets inspired and starts playing great. Ember looks at Wade and his empathy with admiring eyes. The Windbreakers manage to win, and being in a good mood, Gale agrees to Wade's suggestion. Wade plans to drag the source of the leak to the starvation house and call in a city crew to repair it before Friday. If they manage to fix it before then, the fines will be forgiven and the store will not have to close. To track the source of the leak, they climb up to the roof of Ember's house and build a hot air balloon to search from above. They find pools of water in the canal and follow it to a gate. While they are in the air, Ember has a memory of when she sees the central station. She tells Wade that when she was a child, her father took her there to see a vivisteria, the only flower that thrives in any environment. Even in fire, she always wanted to see one, but a guard prevented them from entering because of the danger of their fire. Now, years later, the station flooded, and Ember lost her only chance to see a vivisteria. Wade listens to the story, and tears begin to well up in her eyes. He tells her that he imagines how scared and sad she must have been at that moment, and she nods. Ember asks him how he manages to be so empathetic and connect so easily with people, just as he did in the stadium. She can't connect with any of her clients because her temper prevents her. But Wade tells her that he doesn't find her temper to be a bad thing, but that the irritation, it is simply a part of ourselves that is trying to communicate something we are not yet ready to face. They arrive at the source of the leak and discover that the gates are damaged. Wade explains that these gates are designed to contain the overflows of the central canal when a ship passes through. However, a ship passes through and causes flooding in the area. Both rush to seek refuge, but soon realize that the water could be heading towards the fire neighborhood, an area where the presence of water is especially dangerous for its inhabitants. Ember quickly takes action and passes Wade sandbags to seal the breach. He assures Wade that this temporary solution will hold up long enough for the city's maintenance crew to make the necessary repairs before Friday. With the problem solved, Ember and Wade have no reason to see each other again. However, Wade invites Ember to spend the afternoon together the next day. She knows this would be a terrible idea for her dad, but she can't help but smile at the invitation. She is undecided on whether or not to attend, but finally decides to go on her date in the city as she sees her arrive. Wade starts to cry from emotion. He lives with his heart in his hand. They go to the movies and take some pictures. Then they climb to the top of a building where Ember impresses the kids with her skills, and Wade looks at her with admiration. They begin to spend more time together, and she realizes that she really can be in the city with the rest of the elements. She doesn't have to stay only in the fire neighborhood. Her prejudices and preconceptions are wrong. They both enjoy spending time together and begin to fall in love, but she worries about the idea that physically they can't touch each other, as this would cause a serious accident for one or both of them. With time, Ember manages to control her temper with the customers in the store. She thinks about Wade and what he told her, and she is controlling it more and more. Her parents notice this change in her, and they are proud. A few days pass, and the sandbags break. The water leaks again, and a pipe bursts in the shop. At that moment, a delivery man arrives with flowers for Ember, and she notices that Wade is in the water in the vase so he can visit her. He explains that the sandbags did not hold. At that, Bernie enters and finds them together, remembering the historical rejection he has faced from the water people and aware of the real danger that the water represents for them. He reacts by expelling Wade from the shop and banning him from the shop forever. Later, Ember and Wade meet on the beach to fill more sandbags with sand. She is frustrated and overwhelmed by the stress of wanting to preserve her father's dream and not let him down, and her light begins to fade, at which point Wade assures her that she is a good daughter and that she is doing her best. He also tells her what a beautiful light, and with this, Ember's light is renewed. They contemplate a scene of a sunset in which the sun seems to touch the water, symbolizing how fire and water can create a beautiful image together. Wade notices that Ember's fire has turned the sand into glass. Inspired by this, she has a brilliant idea to use the glass to seal the hole. They go to the source of the leak, and Ember transforms the sand into glass, passes a ship, and it turns out to be strong enough they made it. Wade will call his boss to get his approval. That night, Bernie tells Ember that he sees her more mature, happy, and stable. He has noticed a big change in her. Plus, he tells her that he is very lucky to have her. She smiles, but also feels great guilt because the issue of the the pipes, and the risk of them shutting down his business is still not completely resolved. Ember is so worried about the future of his store that he goes with Wade to find out Gale's decision. While they wait for the call from his boss, Wade invites him to his house. Ember meets Wade's family, and they are all just as lovely and empathetic as he is. They welcome her with open arms. Apparently, Wade comes from a wealthy and artistic family with many contacts, something opposed to Ember's reality. When one of them accidentally breaks a pitcher, Ember takes the glass and quickly fixes it, creating a beautiful picture. Everyone is amazed at her talent, and Wade's mother tells her that she could do something amazing with it. Then the family starts playing the yacht game, where they try not to cry, but as they are all very sensitive, they cry very easily. However, when Ember and Wade participate, she signs to have the upper hand, since she has never cried in her life. Even after trying, Wade starts describing him as a wounded butterfly, but gets no reaction from Ember. And then he tells her the failed love story of a man on his deathbed, but also fails to move her. Finally, Wade starts talking to her about his feelings for her. He tells her, "Ember, when I met you, yes, I thought I was drowning, but that light inside you has made me feel alive, and now all I want is to be near you, the two of us together." Wade's words resonate with Ember. She visualizes herself together with him, but realizes that their elemental difference makes it impossible for them to be together emotionally and physically despite their mutual feelings. And at this, a tear falls from this fire girl's face. Gale calls them and tells them that the tempered glass is strong enough to seal the hole, and that the fines are canceled. They both party but can't hug. After dinner, Wade's mother tells Ember that she contacted a friend who runs the best glassware company in the world. She told her about her talent and that she would be happy to have her as an intern. Ember thanks her, but as soon as she turns around, she is furious and tries to get away from Wade, but he doesn't back down or let her avoid the problem. Finally, she gives in and tells him that he was right. Her anger is simply a part of herself that is trying to communicate something she is not yet ready to face. In this case, she is angry because she has realized that her dream is not to run her father's store, but she doesn't see any way out of it. She doesn't even know what her dream is because she never gave herself the chance to ask him. She feels indebted to her parents who sacrificed everything for her. She explains to him that the only way to repay such a big sacrifice is to sacrifice her own life. She can't break her father's heart after all he has done for her. Ember's mother sees them and catches up with them, is furious to discover that her daughter has been seeing a water boy. Ember tries to explain that Wade is just a friend, but Cinder insists that she can smell the love between them and takes them inside for a compatibility reading. Cinder performs his ritual to measure compatibility by observing smoke that forms when each one lights their lighter. The intertwining of the smoke of both reveals if they are right for each other. Ember lights her lighter, but Wade, as a being of water, cannot do the same. Cinder tells his daughter that he realizes that this love is impossible. Wade, however, has an ingenious idea. He stands in front of Ember and uses himself as a lens that concentrates the light. Ember's light passes through him, and the lighter manages to ignite the smoke that rises and swirls around them, suggesting that they are indeed compatible. Cinder is speechless. At that moment, Bernie appears, and they quickly take Wade out of the store to prevent him from seeing him. Bernie tells his daughter that he has news that can't wait. He will retire in 2 days, and Ember will finally take over the store. His dream is about to come to true. Bernie has a present for her, but first he explains how much this means to him. He tells her, "When I left the land of fire, I made the baxo before my father, a bow that our culture represents the highest expression of respect. However, my father did not reciprocate the bow. He did not give me his blessing. He said that if we left the land of fire, we were abandoning our essence as fire people. My family never got to see all that I built. They never understood that I never forgot our fire roots. That burden still weighs on me. That's why, daughter, I want you to know that you have my blessing every day that you enter here." With this, Bernie shows her the gift, a new sign that says Ember's Bonfire. He wants to install it for the grand reopening celebration. After hearing all that her parents endured to give her a better life, Ember feels that she can't allow herself to hurt her father's feelings. The next day, Ember visits Wade to finish him off, but he is not going to give up so easily. He tells her that before anything else, he has to show her something. He takes her to the central station that she had told him about, the one that contained the Vivisteria flowers but was now flooded. When they arrive, Wade pulls down the sign that denied access to the fire people. There, Gale waits for them. He creates a bubble in which Ember can protect herself. This scares her. She doesn't know if she should risk it, but Wade encourages her, saying they said that you can't enter. Why do you let someone tell you what to do with your life? Inspired by his words, Ember decides to enter the bubble. Wade guides her through the flooded station, and finally they reach the Great Vivisteria tree. Ember's face of excitement is priceless. She never thought she could see these flowers, and now she realizes that they glow when lit by their fire. However, they realize that the air bubble is quickly running out, so Wade runs to the exit. They are safe, and Ember jumps with excitement at her dream come true. They're both too moved. The moment is so special that Wade suggests that they both hold hands. The idea of water and fire touching seems too dangerous to Ember, so she rejects it, but he optimistically encourages her to try, assuring her that if it turns out to be a disaster, then they will know that theirs can never work. Ember hesitates but finally agrees and cautiously brings her hand to Wade's, and nothing bad happens. They can hold hands. Both are surprised. They hold hands and intertwine their fingers, and their eyes are filled with illusion at what this means. Ember leans on his chest, and together they begin to dance under the moon. Wade tells her, "I am too lucky." However, this phrase makes Ember remember her father. She feels guilty for doing something that would disappoint him. She walks away from him, saying that she needs to go back to her life in the store where she belongs. Wade tries to reason with her, saying that she should talk to her father about her own dreams. But Ember gets angry and tells him that he cannot judge her, since he does not know what it feels like to have parents who sacrificed everything for her. The next day, everything gathers in front of the store to celebrate the grand reopening. Bernie announces his retirement and gives the blue flame to Ember as a sign that he has ceded the leadership of the store to her. Ember had before taking it, and then Wade appears and interrupts the ceremony and tells Ember that there are many reasons why they should not be together, but there is an important reason why they did touch each other. Wade explains that by touching each other, their chemical structure has changed and they are no longer the same as they were before. Wade professes his love for her in front of everyone and says, "I love you, Ember Lumen, and I'm pretty sure you love me too." Bernie interrupts the love confession and gets upset with his daughter. He feels betrayed before this, and Ember feels the pressure and responds to Wade, "You are wrong, I don't love you." Her mother listens to this and assures him that she is wrong, explaining that the compatibility reading revealed that it is true love. But Ember ignores her mother and tells Wade to leave, insisting that she doesn't love him. He is saddened and walks away. Bernie gets angry with his daughter, reproaches her for betraying his trust, and states that they will no longer retire as she is not ready to be in charge of the store. This breaks Ember's heart, who sincerely wants to be the daughter her parents deserve. Ember flees to the city to think about trying to forget her feelings for Wade, but simply cannot. As Ember witnesses how the glass barrier that stopped the water leakage breaks the water, fills the canal, and heads to the fire neighborhood, she quickly heads home, fearing for her parents' lives. Meanwhile, Wade notices that something is wrong in the fire neighborhood and worries about Ember. Ember warns people about the flood. Her parents go up to a safe place just in time, but she decides to run to the store to save the blue flame. To prevent it from being extinguished, the door is about to break to flood everything when Wade arrives to help. She is surprised to see him there, especially after everything she had told him in her face. You can tell she does love him. Ember tries to save the blue flame by making a glass wall around it, but the waves shatter it. Wade insists they must leave, but she resists, arguing that the blue flame is the whole life of his father and cannot allow it to be extinguished. The water drags it to be trapped in a room, and at that moment Wade appears, who had miraculously managed to place the blue flame in a lantern just in time. While the water begins to flood the room, Ember acts quickly to seal the holes and prevent more water from entering. However, to be locked in a room with fire makes Wade begins to evaporate, trying to get out through the roof, but they find that the exit is blocked. Ember tries to break down the wall that obstructs the entrance, but Wade stops her, knowing that if the water enters, it will turn Ember off forever. Ember collapses. She doesn't know what to do. Wade consoles her. He takes her by the hand and says, "Ember, I don't regret anything. You gave me something that people search for all their lives." She breaks down in tears, saying, "But I can't exist in a world without you." "I'm sorry, I didn't say it before. I love you, Wade." He looks at her with joy and Lohishkin love. He embraces her, and the light from her through him makes the whole room glow. Hours pass, and the flood is under control. The Lumen family searches for Ember. When they tear down what was blocking the entrance to the room, they find her on her knees destroyed. She tells them Wade is gone. "He saved me." Her mother approaches to comfort her, but Ember stands, and with her blue flame in her hand, she finally gathers the courage to tell her father that she does not want to take over the the store. With tears in her eyes, she finally expresses the words that will break her father's heart. She says, "I'm sorry, I'm a bad daughter." Bernie takes the blue flame, sets it aside, and says to his daughter, "Ember, the store was never the dream you were. You were always my dream." And his daughter's face lights up. This response from Bernie reveals all the unconditional love he has for his daughter. They both embrace when a cry is heard, and from the ceiling of the room, a drop of water falls. I want to thank you for watching this video, and for all the support you give me. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel, give it a like, and share it with your friends. This is very important to me, so you help me to continue growing and creating quality content. Also, don't forget to leave your comment and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Ember starts mentioning sad things. She writes a wounded butterfly, then the failed love story of a man on his deathbed. And as she gets sadder, more and more drops to start falling from the ceiling. It's Wade. They could still get him back. They all start saying things that make him sentimental until finally Wade is back. Ember runs to him and hugs him. They look into each other's eyes and give each other a kiss that defies everything they thought impossible. Several months later, the fire neighborhood recovers from the damage and the store is open again. This time welcoming all the different elements. Bernie hands over the store to a couple of friends while he and Cinder enjoy their retirement. Ember looks at the store and her father and smiles. Later, she and Wade are ready to board a ship. She accepted an internship at the glassware company, and Wade will accompany her. Wade's mother and Ember's parents see them off. Bernie encourages his daughter to explore the world, assuring her that they will be there to wait for her whenever she wishes. Ember and Wade walk to the ship, but before boarding, she looks at her father, places her suitcase to the side, and performs the backso before him, the ultimate expression of respect. Her father looks at his daughter and reciprocates the bow, so father and daughter show each other all their respect and mutual love. Ember takes her suitcase and boards the ship, with Wade ready for their new adventure.